always from the heart of the city, and now on demand 24/7 on the CHFI website. This is the soundtrack to a different point of view. And I'm Don Jackson, around the world on the internet. We all have our points of view on a whole range of issues. Some can cause fiery debates, while others might leave a lasting impression on the one who listens. There is a great line in something called "There Comes a Time" by an unknown author, and I quote, "You learn to open up to new worlds and different points of view, and you begin reassessing and redefining who you are, what you really stand for." Unquote. Some different points of view this hour with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Steely Dan and Hey 19 and Peabo Bryson with Regina Belle. Another point of view of a whole new world. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. This is an excerpt from Jamie Sam's Earth Medicine, and I quote, "A meeting was going on in the forest. The creature beings were trying to sort out the problems caused by the latest migrations of their northern neighbors that were affecting their food supply. The Great Ice Mountains made it necessary for the northern relations to flee the cold of encroaching glaciers, forcing them into the territories of these concerned forest dwellers. Magpie was chattering away while the other creatures listened to her recent experiences. Rabbit then added his point of view, complaining about having to ask the newcomers to respect the needs of creatures who had always lived in this forest. Chipmunk piped up and reminded the others to focus on solutions that would allow everyone to be fed. Fox and Wolf agreed, each adding a solution, while Squirrel gathered all the information. Blue Jay noticed that Bear had not said a thing. Finally, Blue Jay asked Bear why she was so silent. And Bear replied, "I'm listening and learning. I don't need to talk. I already know what I know." Unquote. An excerpt from Jamie Sam's Earth Medicine. Differing points of view this hour with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Miley Cyrus, On the Climb, and Linda Ronstadt with Aaron Neville and Don't Know Much. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. I've featured variations on this story over the years. This seems to be the original. An unknown writer quoted in bits and pieces wrote, "One day, a small boy tried to lift a heavy stone, but couldn't budge it. His father, watching, finally said, 'Are you positive that you're using all your strength?' 'Yes, I am,' the boy cried. 'No, you're not,' said the father. 'You haven't asked me to help you.'" Unquote. The little boy needed another point of view to help him solve his problem. I'm Don Jackson from iTunes and CHFI.com. Simply read, if you don't know me by now, Martina McBride in My Daughter's Eyes, and Five for Fighting with The Riddle. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. This is called Wealth is All in One's Point of View. Again, it's author unknown. And I quote, "One day, a wealthy family man took his son on a trip to the country so he could have his son see how poor country people were. They stayed one day and one night in the farmhouse of a very humble farm. At the end of the trip and back home, the father asked the son, 'What did you think of that trip?' The son replied, 'Very nice, Dad.' The father, 'Did you notice how poor they were?' The son's reply, 'Yes.' The father asked, 'What did you learn?' To which the son replied, 'I learned that we have one dog in the house, and they have 4. I learned that we have a fountain in the garden, and they have a stream that has no end. I learned that we have imported lamps in the garden. They have the stars. I learned that our garden goes to the edge of the property. They have the entire horizon as their yard.' At the end of the son's reply, the father was speechless. His son added, 'Thank you, Dad, for showing me how poor we really are.' I'm Don Jackson from iTunes and CHFI.com. Bryan Adams, back to you and train with Drops of Jupiter. I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Jules Verne, with an excellent example of varying opinions, from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. He wrote, and I quote, "To the poet, a pearl is a tear of the sea. To the ladies, it is a jewel which they wear on their finger, neck, or ear. But for the chemist, it is a mixture of phosphate and carbonate of lime with a little gelatin. And for naturalists, it is simply a secretion of the organ that among certain bivalves produces mother of pearl." Unquote. One object, many different points of view. Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Carrie Underwood, Before He Cheats, Sky, and a love song, and Beyonce, If I Were a Boy. I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. To conclude the hour, the first line of this reminds me of a line in the song The Riddle. You can rewind this program to that point, and I think you'll understand why. It's called Points of View by Julian Huxley. We men are from one point of view mere trivial microbes, but from another, the crown of creation. Both views are true, and we must hold them together, interpenetrating in our thought. From the point of view of the stellar universe whose size and meaningless spaces baffle comprehension and belief, man may appear a mere nothing, and all his efforts destined to disappear like the web of a spider brushed down from the corner of a little room in the basement of a palace. But meanwhile, he is engaged upon a task which by him can be imagined, the task of imposing mind and spirit upon matter and outer force. This he does by confronting chaos of outer happenings with his intellect and generating ordered knowledge with his aesthetic sense and generating beauty, with his purpose and generating control of nature, with his ethical sense and his sense of humor and generating character, with his reverence and generating religion. A writing called Points of View by Julian Huxley. Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. I hope you will tell all your friends about Lovers and Other Strangers. Good night, sweet dreams. I'm Don Jackson.